And just like that, it was a Monday. Welcome in on this Monday, this Reaction Monday in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. Well. There were some ups, there were some downs, and there were some in-betweens this weekend. It depends on who you follow, which school you're a fan of, which sport you were paying attention to, or whether or not which one you were paying attention to that particular time. There was ups, downs, in between. So we're going to get into all of that with you here today. So it is a Reaction Monday. I'm glad to be back with you after missing the end of the week last week, but that was telling Beaver it was a fun trip for our family. It was a school trip. Our daughter Mary Liddy, who's in the 7th grade, she's a part of the show choir. This is her first year to be a part of the what is called the show choir. They call it show choir. And you've got middle schools and high schools around the state who participate, and they have these competitions and judges and different things. And so anyway, they were in Indianapolis, Indiana. We traveled up there. We're there for pretty much all weekend, and then from there back to Mississippi, and then other parts of Mississippi, and then finally back to Tupelo late last night. And so it's been several days of putting a lot of miles on a rental car. But we're back, and everything's kind of norm today. And so far, norm today, and back in the Bureau with you here on this Monday. So we can kind of get into whatever you want to get into. And I will admit I had another one of those weekends where I did not watch a lot of sports, but I listened to a lot of it. I listened to basketball with my earbuds in my ear, connected to my handy dandy iPhone. What is it? iPhone 15 Pro Max, or whichever one it is that I've got, the big one from C Spire. I listened to a lot of that while we were, in different places and in the car, and listened to basketball, listened to some baseball, and then was able to late last night, a little bit this morning, go back and watch some of the replay of some of the stuff. So anyway, we got plenty of time to get into all that with you here today, because we are live on the air. Beaver is here. He's the reason we're on the air. He's here, so you can talk to him if you want to. Call him. Well, don't call him and conversate or converse, as it were. Just let him put you through onto the air with us here. You can call me on the Davini phone, the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. And the number to call, 897-1059. Got it? That's a 601 number, 897-1059. That'll get you in. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. The number to text is 885-3776. That's 601 number, 885-3776. And you may also comment on the live stream if you're watching the show over there on Facebook or on YouTube or X, formerly Twitter. If you're watching the live stream, just type in a comment and hit it, submit it, click it, whatever you do to it, post it, comment, and I will see it right there on the live stream. So put that in there. We can get you in on part of the show that way as well. Now, as I introduced to you last week, we got something new that is really not new to the show, but somebody that's new. Headlines at the top of the hour are back.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by 𝐌𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 them up online at mortgagemanms.com. Illuminate Bank, not just mortgages, yes, including mortgages, but everything, right on up to checking accounts and savings accounts and everything else. And you can find out more at mortgagemanms.com. More on an event they've got coming up as well. All right, headlines on this Monday pretty much write themselves, don't they? First up on a hardwood States men's basketball team, fresh off a little winning streak, beating some top 25 teams. They hit the road to play a non-ranked team this past Saturday and took it on the chin. Oklahoma upsetting Mississippi State in Norman, Oklahoma by 6 points, 93-87, the final. Both teams, they had a high-scoring second half. Keyshawn Murphy was 16 points in the game, but there's a kid for Oklahoma just firing it up from half court, knocking the bottom out, and that's kind of how the ball game went. Same thing, similar deal for Ole Miss. They were on the road this past Saturday. Ole Miss still a top 25 team at that point. Maybe they still are. We'll see. And they went to Vandy, which, look, it's been a tough place to play for everybody this year, going to Nashville. And Vandy with the upset at home in Nashville, 77-72. So a 5-point loss on the road for the Ole Miss men, a 6-point loss on the road for State's men. We'll look at what's next, but that's life on the road in the SEC. Next headline up, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. Where's Went? Went! Where you at, Went? Baseball. State with a sweep this weekend of Missouri State. And, you know, it's a good series. I mean, all sweeps are good, obviously. But, you know, Missouri State has been a really good mid-major, a team that's played in the tournament and, you know, a really competitive, very good mid-major. So I'd say it's a really good win for them. Good weekend for them. For Ole Miss, a series sweep at home over Eastern Kentucky. And so Ole Miss cruising. And for Southern Miss, they actually suffered their first loss of the year. And it was on Sunday. They were looking for the sweep. They're 7-0. Well, let me just say, okay, so they were hosting Louisiana Tech after beating Mississippi State in a shutout in the midweek 3-0. They were hosting Louisiana Tech there at the Pete this weekend. They won game 1 with another shutout, 4-0. Game 2, Southern Miss won it 8-4. So they're 7-0, going for another sweep. And then yesterday, Louisiana Tech, I say yesterday, it was a doubleheader, I think, on Saturday, but regardless, it was the second game of a doubleheader, and Louisiana Tech took that second game 5-2. So that was Southern Miss's last game of the year. They lose it. It's their first loss of the year, so they're 7-1, but still cruising. Really good baseball team in Hattiesburg this year, and they'll try it out against Ole Miss this Tuesday night, the 25th. So that'll be tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. is when they have that one scheduled. And then it's a really interesting week for coming up. You know, if you just look at tomorrow on for Southern Miss baseball, one full 7-day week is tomorrow, Tuesday at Ole Miss, then a 3-game weekend series on the road at TCU in Fort Worth, Texas, and then come back next Tuesday to Starkville, Mississippi, for the rematch with Mississippi State at Dudy Noble Field. So a 3-game series on the road at TCU, bookended by midweek games at Ole Miss tomorrow and then at State next Tuesday. This is a really interesting week coming up for Southern Miss baseball. So here at the top of the hour, those are your headlines here for today on this Monday. Brought to you by Went McGee, Went, and the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank, right here in Mississippi. All right, so get them on in here. Whatever you want to get into is cool with me. Text incoming, coming to you from 𝐷𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢 and Jason and others on the Country Pleasing text line. Also, phone lines open to you on the Davini phone. Give me a call. Comments on the live stream, coming to those, Facebook, YouTube, and elsewhere. First, I want to say hey to B and see how he's doing. I think he had a good weekend. We're going to find out. Hey, B.
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
Good weekend?
Good weekend.
Atta baby. Eventful weekend?
Full of nothingness, but
okay.
Still good.
Yeah, well, sometimes that is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I was talking about Mary Liddy, for example, like, you know, all her activity. You know what I'm finding with her, Beaver? You know, she's a lot like me in some of her makeup and, you know, internally, like she's not introverted, but she likes her downtime, needs her time alone. And what I'm finding with her is like she's really, really busy and has a lot of activity going on, but in the in-between time what she really wants to do in that in-between time is go in her room, okay, get her stuff that she uses at school, whether it's books, computer, whatever, and just kind of stay in her room and do homework and do schoolwork. That alone, without any sound, without being bothered, not, she doesn't play loud. She just wants peace and quiet, knock out a little homework, and that's the way that she relaxes, like it's getting away from everybody. And I think that's a little bit like me. That's kind of like you. That's what you do, isn't it? Get away and do some homework.
Well, back when there was homework, which I didn't always do my homework. I wasn't great at it.
Yeah.
But back in my junior high school days, when there was homework to be had, I was the same way. You can't have any noise.
Right.
Because my brain space is easily distracted. So I get it. She's making sense.
Brain space. Okay, we need we probably need a podcast named Brain Space. Maybe we cover those topics, but Annabeth sort of coined that phrase this weekend about something. There was something out there, whatever, and we've been talking about it. And after a little while, she kind of goes, you know what? I don't want to talk about that anymore. I'm done with that for a while. It's taken up way too much space in my brain. And I thought, what a good, there you go, brain space. It's funny you say that, B, because we were just talking about that. Things that just almost their existence are taking up too much space in your brain. You got to kind of like intentionally remove them. We ought to make a list. What are the things that they just take up too much space in our brain? What are those? We'll think on that and come back to it. All right, over to the text line, the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all across the Southeast. It is the best sausage, hands down. Let's see. Hog Jowl says it was a pretty good weekend for the Hogs. A really good win in hoops beating Missouri, and that was a good win too, and a big upset as far as I'm concerned, because here recently Missouri was as hot as anybody in men's basketball in the SEC, and they go to Fayetteville, and Arkansas puts up 92 points there. And so really, it was a close game, too, 92-85, so 7 points when it's all said and done. That's a big win for Arkansas. It's their fifth win in the league. And then he said after sweeping 4-game series against Washington State, the baseball team lost by 1 to Kansas State, then beat TCU and Michigan. They're 6-1 against great competition right now. Yeah, let's see. So what event was that? Where were they? I'm seeing those scores. I caught a glimpse of it. Alabama had an interesting weekend too, where they had a big come. They were down like 10-0 in one of their games, came back and won it. I'm talking about baseball. I'm trying to figure out, just by looking at it, Hog Jowl, what stadium that was that they were playing in, but I can't. Was it in Houston? No, that's not. Anyway, let me know which one that is. I have to look it up and see. But yeah, Arkansas. They have played excellent competition this year. Off to a really good start. They're always going to be good in baseball. Always. Jason in Flagstaff texts the show. He says, of all the Mississippi State things to have ever Mississippi Stated, he said how Mississippi State was that last week of basketball. Beat ranked Ole Miss, highly ranked A&M, and then a complete nose picker in blah versus Oklahoma. Yeah, but it's not just them, Jason. That's the thing about it. It's not just them. I think it's easy to kind of get caught up in, State having a couple of these games where, they coulda, shoulda, woulda, but didn't against lesser opponents or what we think are lesser opponents. But on the road this year in the SEC, I don't know anybody that's been actually good on the road. Kentucky goes to Alabama and gets beat by 13 points. And I know going to Alabama is another thing. But like Missouri, like we were talking about, there's Missouri, okay? They're coming off some really nice wins, and they were on a nice little win stretch coming into this game. They had won 3 in a row. One of those wins was they scored 110 points against Alabama and beat them, a top 5 team. They were really hot. And then go to Arkansas, an unranked team, and lose. Ole Miss. Now this last stretch of Ole Miss's schedule is really tough, and I mean this is a 2-game losing stretch they didn't really need, but look at them, and some of their wins. The win at home over Kentucky, that's the type of team they are. The really impressive win on the road at Alabama earlier in the year. Some of that. Here they are. They go to Vandy, an unranked team, and lose. And Ole Miss is a better team than Vandy, but you go up there, it's really tough. Here's State, just like you said, back-to-back ranked wins. Teams they tell us are really good, right? Ole Miss and Texas A&M. And then hit the road and go to Oklahoma and lose that one. It's just the road is tough. For whatever reason, nobody's really playing well on the road in the SEC. Nobody's like a great road team. I still think that maybe one of, if not the most impressive road win I've seen all year was Ole Miss when they went to Tuscaloosa earlier this year and held Alabama under 70 points. And Alabama benched a bunch of guys and all that kind of stuff. So, that's the thing. I don't know. I'm not making excuses for him, Jason. Like I say, I listened to most of the game minus just a couple of minutes. I listened to it, but I didn't get to watch it. But you had those back-to-back wins, ranked wins over Ole Miss and A&M. It's obvious kind of like what you're capable of. You solidified yourself in the tournament, and now you got to hit the road and go play at a place you haven't been before, and nobody's really all that excited to go to, for whatever that's worth. I'm just, not necessarily surprised they go and get beat, because it's the same team that lost by 27 at home to Missouri State. They've had their ups and downs, I guess is what I'm saying. It's the same team that hit the road earlier this year. I know it's really good teams. You go to Auburn, you go to Tennessee, but really just stunk it up. So there's some up and down. There's definitely a roller coaster ride going on, it seems like, for every fan base out there. Well, and heck, on the other side of that coin, I mean, look at Arkansas. 𝐷𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢 was talking about his basketball team at Arkansas. But look at the up and downs for them, at times this year. You go back a couple, 3 weeks, whenever it was, they've got this win. They beat Kentucky by 10 points in Rupp Arena. Cal goes up there, and you think, okay, pieces are getting put together. They follow that up by going to Austin, to Texas, and beat them 78-70. So a 10-point win over Kentucky on the road, then an 8-point win on the road, right? Then, okay, you come back home, you host a really good Alabama team. They had them ranked 3rd in the country at that time, and just play their guts out. Just, play phenomenal basketball, but lose by 4 points. Crush LSU right after that. You think, here we go. Well, no. Then you got 2 good opponents, Texas A&M and Auburn, back-to-back at both places, and you get back-to-back losses. Come back home, host Missouri. And remember, people have written Arkansas off, record and otherwise. Started the SEC season with 5 straight losses to Tennessee, Ole Miss, Florida, LSU, and Missouri. They were 0-5 to start. Everybody wrote them off. And back-to-back road losses. Played well. Less than 10-point loss. I mean, it's just a couple of 3-possession loss at both A&M and at Auburn. Missouri, one of the hotter teams in the league here of late. And Arkansas beats them there at home. I mean, it's just been an unbelievable up and down roller coaster ride. And don't look now, but Arkansas, so they're what? 16-11, and they're 5-9 in the SEC. And look at the games that's coming up. Texas at home, very winnable. South Carolina on the road, very winnable. Vandy in Nashville, tough, but really winnable for Arkansas if they play well. And they're going to finish the year by hosting State, at Bud Walton in Fayetteville, and State has just they actually have been pretty decent on the road this year. State has. It's just they haven't been road warriors. It's just there's kind of an up and down thing going on with them. So I just think it's tough on everybody on the road. Teams are better at home. Nobody's really playing great on the road, or consistently on the road, maybe is the way to say it. All right, Hunter on the Country Pleasing text line said, going to have some very nice baseball weather versus a ranked Troy. Should be a great matchup. Talking about tomorrow. Yeah, we'll do that here in just a bit. We'll come back and look at all the midweek games, who's scheduled when and where. Of course, tomorrow night, Southern Miss going to Ole Miss in Oxford. That'll be a lot of fun. It's really, it's an interesting early season schedule for Southern Miss. Yeah, I don't know. LSU apparently has a game scheduled today in baseball, hosting Nichols here on a Monday. And I don't know if that's a carryover from the weekend or, what that is. You normally don't see Monday games, so I don't know what it is. But we'll look at the midweek baseball schedule coming up. You do have some interesting midweeks that are going to happen tomorrow. And Wednesday, too. So we'll take a look. All right, just getting started with y'all. Come to the live stream, see what you got to say. Gene and Hail State Fan and Sven and others over there on YouTube and Facebook. Just getting started on this Reaction Monday in the Bureau, Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Hoffman with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. And they'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi,
Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
.com.
Back with you on this Monday. What do y'all want to get into today, huh? Tell you what I'm into. Regardless of what we talk about, tell you what I'm into. Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Go to highpointroasters.com, get some coffee. Big old 1 pound bags of it. Single origin from all over the world. Blends of all different kinds and flavors and strengths. Yes, sir. How about some of this right here? It's called Campfire Blend. Yeah. So I'm a happy man. I don't really care what we get into. Whatever you want to talk about, it's cool with me. On this Reaction Monday. Gene on Facebook. On the Book of Face. Facebook says, Hail State from Vicksburg, the key to the South. Yep, that's it, Gene. Hail State to you, sir. I love Vicksburg. My in-laws are headed there right now. Hail State from Vicksburg, the key to the South. What was it Lincoln said? Until that key is in my pocket. Right? And then, what was it he said after Vicksburg fell, Lincoln? Once again, now I may be getting this wrong, Gene. So if I get it totally wrong, just write it off as Matt's an idiot. But I think he gets this quote. I think Lincoln said, what was it? The father of waters once again flows unvexed to the sea. Huh? Did I get it? Huh? I'm giving myself some applause. I get an E for effort. All right, Hail State fan, he commented, he's on YouTube. He said, if I heard correctly, our men's hoops team is 17-0 when holding opponents to less than 10 made three-point shots. All right, so if we can hold somebody to less than 10 made threes, then Coach Jans and company are 17-0 this year. Well, that's a pretty key stat, right? What was Oklahoma? 11 for 26. They had one kid go 3 for 9. A couple that went 2 for 5. They had another one come off the bench and go 3 for 5 from 3. Yeah. So, defense. Defense. That's what we need to be. If you go to a state game, home or away, chant defense. Because when they play great defense, they win. All right. Sven, he's on YouTube all the way from Berlin, Germany. He said, Hail State, everyone. Baseball was okay, but our hoops team choked one away against a bad Oklahoma team. Oklahoma's only got 4 wins. I'm sorry, in the SEC. Not overall. No, they're 17-10 overall, but in the SEC, they're now 4-10. They were 3-10 before that one. Let's see. Oklahoma's SEC wins this year are now, of course, State on Saturday. Before that, it was like a month before that when they beat Vanderbilt in Norman. Beat them by 30. They beat Arkansas in Fayetteville by 3. And they beat South Carolina at home in Norman by 20. So they got 4 SEC wins now. 3 out of the 4 are at home for Oklahoma. Those 3 at home were South Carolina, Vandy, and State. The other 2 were blowouts, beat one by 21 by 30, and then beat State by 6 Saturday. They've got 1 road win in the SEC. That was at Arkansas. They won that one by 3. So, you watch, if you're an Oklahoma basketball fan, you don't know what you're going to get. Every now and then they pop up and play good. Most of the time they have not played very well. Yes, I saw this on social media. Thanks for bringing that up. Unnamed texter says, remember the family of fallen Bulldog football athlete Wayne Harris. May he rest in peace. Yeah, Wayne was a heck of a player, right? Back in the day. Saw several tributes to him online, appropriately so. And so that's right. We'll remember the friends and family of Wayne Harris, who passed away over the weekend. Sven says, Coach Jans is in year 3, and we made it every year to March Madness. That's very good. He says, but we as fans want to see the next step and play consistent ball. And that's Sven's comment after he said that, after called him a bad Oklahoma team. Well, Denzel took a little bit of an issue with your comment. White Denzel on the Country Pleasing text line says, bad Oklahoma team. It was a quad 1 opportunity, Sven. He says, give me a break. Okay. So there, if you look at, again, it's like for whatever it's worth, and then you decide what it's worth, right? Sven's saying they're a bad Oklahoma team. Well, let's compare to the rest of the SEC. They've just lost all year. Now they're 17-10 overall. To give you an example, that's just like at this point of the year, we're about to enter March. It's just one less win than teams like than Kentucky. Okay, overall, it's 2 fewer wins than State and Ole Miss. State and Ole Miss are both 19-8 overall. Oklahoma's 17-10. But they're 4-10, and I just kind of went over that with you, in the SEC. 4-10. They were 3-10 going into that one. So as compared to the rest of the league, people have looked forward to having Oklahoma on their schedule in the SEC. But, okay, on the other side of that coin, well, I think it is true what Denzel is saying is you got, right, quad 1, quad 2, based on all the analytics, the metrics that they use for that stuff. It's kind of like the RPI in baseball. And what he's saying is that's kind of how things are judged. Wins at home versus on the road. Losses at home versus losses on the road. And it's what quad. So the quad 1 deal on the road is not something that is a resume buster. I guess, I'm a little bit of an exaggeration, but Denzel, to make your point, you're saying hold off on saying that because it's not a resume buster. State's in the tournament. That's a done deal. It's just a matter of, what seed and where. Okay, I get what you're saying. But also, at the same time, like Sven counters with Oklahoma is not better than State. No, they're not. It's not a game that State has an excuse to lose. And that's fine to say that. Again, I'm listening to the whole game. I didn't see it. And it sounded to me like they didn't play defensively. They didn't play the way they did against A&M and the way they did against Ole Miss. That's kind of the way it sounded. And the result was some people hitting 3-point shots. So I just think, there's truth on both sides of it. Sven, you're right. They are at the bottom of the league. It is a game. State, if you play well both ends, you should win it. But at the same time, no, losing it is not going to really, it's not going to be a thorn in your side losing it when it comes resume time. It's just not. Who else? What you got? Let's see.
Is that where we're at? Trying to make excuses for losses. Now we bring up that. Dude, you lost. You lost to a loose team. A loss is a loss. Trying to make excuses for it? I say quad one. Come on, Denzel.
Yeah. If you play well, you win it. You know, I mean, that's it. And the other thing you go, well, what do you mean play well? Okay, well, I'm not a basketball coach. I'm not going to break down an X's and O's thing for you. But look at, for example, let's look at what Oklahoma has done. Okay, in this game on Saturday with State coming off 2 wins, State gives up 93 points on the defensive end of the floor. 93 points. Oklahoma scores 93 points. Coming into that game against State, Oklahoma was on a 5-game losing streak. Now, 4 of those 5 were ranked opponents, but they were on a 5-game losing streak. They had lost actually 6 out of their previous 7. Okay, and in those other losses to teams that are ranked, just like State is, Texas A&M, Auburn, Tennessee, Missouri, there was a loss in there to LSU and Florida. In those other losses, whether it was the 5 in a row or the 6 out of 7, in those losses, Oklahoma had scored 68, 70, 52, 58, 79, and 63. They had hit the 70 mark twice, and one of them was exactly 70. And then in this game, boom, they explode for 93 points against a State team that, it kind of showed you the previous week when there's a full-on effort investment on the defensive end, they have limited some really good teams. You look at what they did to Ole Miss and Oxford, what they did to A&M and Starkville. So, no, they didn't play well. And I don't think it's making an excuse. I think you can categorize it a couple of ways. State is a better team, and you play well. If you play well, you win against a team like Oklahoma. You didn't play well. But the fact that it's a road game and that it is in the metric deal, the quad one, it's not going to be a resume buster at all. Those both things can be true all at once. All right, rolling along with you on this Monday in the Bureau. Stick around.
Inspired by Chuck.
I like adventure, so I'm never in one place for long.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
had this opportunity come up through a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, you know, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and, you know, we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion.
Or even losing a game. You're going to hear about them all and get to talk about it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona says, teams like Oklahoma are the reason the SEC is 500 in conference play. Yeah, see what you did? Bill texts the show. He says, but beef, he means beef, but he says beef. Beef is right. Still no excuse losing to them. Well, speaking of beef / beef, hey, beef.
Now, don't try to take credit away from Bill because he knew what he was typing. It's beef. It has become beef. I told you this story. Some gentleman who I still don't know the name of him, but I like him. He started calling me beef, and then Bill started calling me beef after hearing that.
Where's the beef? Speaking of beef, what's your favorite ingredient in, let's say, tacos? Is it beef?
I guess it's got to be beef because if you have no beef, you don't have it. Well, no, because you can have chicken.
That's it, right? You can have chicken. You can have steak, which technically is beef, right? Is steak beef?
Yes. Now it's a whole.
Yeah.
You drop logic on me now, Matt Wyatt.
Yep,
so I
shrimp.
guess I got to go with a different ingredient.
Shrimp.
Sour cream.
Oh, it's his favorite is a condiment. His favorite ingredient on a taco is a condiment. Sour cream. Well, Beaver, I just thought that you ought to know. And this is a topic that we're going to have to cover, and I think it might actually be the most important topic of the day. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, today is National Tortilla Chip Day. And there are a few things, Beaver, in life that I enjoy more than tortilla chips. When they are done right, when they are good. Now, I'm someone who can enjoy both corn and flour tortilla chips. Either one with me. I can enjoy them both as long as they're fresh. But at the same time, it can go equally as bad. As much as I like them, it can be equally as bad if the tortilla chips are stale or too thin, or if they're all broken up in little pieces. Beaver, what is your favorite tortilla chip? And it might not even be a particular brand or whatever. You may just have to describe it. But I know you're able to.
I'll give you a brand. It's Santitas.
Santitas. Let me guess. You can find them on the chips aisle at the local Krogs.
Yeah. I hadn't looked for them in a while, but yeah, that's where they used to always be, and they were always the cheapest. They were cheaper than the other options.
But
they used to be $1.99, but last I checked, they had the nerve to bump it up to $2.29.
But they were better?
Yeah, they're a solid chip.
Large, small, medium, like what? Describe them for me, please.
Oh, I guess they're about standard size. I don't know about a large.
Okay.
Wait, Matt Wyatt, time out.
Did you say standard size?
Standard size, because I don't think I've ever, it's not like when you order a small, medium, or a large.
Okay.
On other things. So I've never seen such. I'm confused now.
Okay, well, you're confused now. I don't mean to confuse you. I would say, okay, standard size for me, tortilla chip. I'm with you. I don't want little bitty ones. I tell you what else I don't mind the ones that whether they come this way or they're mixed in, where instead of triangular-esque, they are like a strip. You know what I'm saying, Beaver? It's like a long strip of tortilla chip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Don't give me that either. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Also, I did think of, there is a smaller, the Tostitos rounds.
Yeah, the little round ones.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
Well, here's the thing. We always get those, but that's because that's what Mary Lily likes, because we used to get them when she was smaller because they kind of fit her. You know what I mean? She was smaller. She ate smaller. And then we just kept getting them. And what I found with those, beef, is they don't work for an adult. See if you're with me on this. The little round ones don't work for an adult. Here's why. One, it's a problem that you can eat too many at a time. For me, I can get a handful and shove them in my mouth. I've just eaten 40 of those things. They're too small. I eat too many too easily. Then if you do try to use one of the small circular round ones to dip into something, like it won't hold enough salsa. It ain't big enough to really scoop a bunch of salsa out. It's a mess. Gets on my fingers. I don't want that. It's because it's small, it's not strong enough to hold up to thick dip. It breaks. Which leads me to my next point, Beaver. Now, you may disagree with this, but I believe the true test for really any tortilla chip here on National Tortilla Chip Day is whether or not the thing breaks too easy or not.
I'm with you there, too.
Like, I go to the Mexican restaurant, Beaver, and a good portion of the time, I don't really even care what I order because I know I'm getting some of those chips. I may just eat those. and get them to come out there and make you some of that fresh guacamole. You a guacamole guy? I think you told me one time you don't like it.
I don't, but it's one of those things where I tried it once a long, long time ago and didn't like it. So you do have examples where you try something later on, you're like, oh, I like that now.
Uh-huh.
So I might now. So I'm open to giving another shot, but I used to not like it.
Okay. You need to give it another shot.
I'd like to ask you a question about your chip preference, too.
All right, okay.
That you speak of. When you go, or if you've encountered this, if you know what I'm talking about. So go into the Mexican restaurant, and it seems like sometimes they've put more of that seasoning in on it.
Oh,
and sometimes they don't.
Yep.
You know what I speak of.
I know what you're talking about. Seasoned salt.
Yeah. See, I like more of that.
More of that.
That seasoning on it.
Mm-hmm. There's really no way. You can't have too much because a good bit of it's not going to actually stick to the chip anyway. It's going to the bottom of the basket. Hey, Beaver, that stuff at our Mexican restaurant we go to in Tupelo the most, it's not even the regular seasoned salt like you buy it off the rack in your local Krogs. This is some mixture that they have, and it's extra good. And one time if I sit down at the table and there's none in the little carrier on your table that has like hot sauce, salt and pepper, you know that every table's got one. And if I don't have any of that mixture of their seasoned salt on it, I'll get up and go to another table and steal theirs. I'm going to have that. Listen, I will do this too. Because Mary Lydia doesn't really like it. Annabeth can't have that seasoned salt mixture because has a gluten allergy. I will ask them for 2 baskets of chips. One for them and one for me so I can put that salt on it. How big an old boy are you? I even had one of the guys one time offer. He said, "You want some of that take home?" What do you think my answer was? Yes. Give me some. Still have it. I'll break it out on special occasions. Sprinkle it on some chips. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Hey, and listen. So, National Tortilla Chip Day. 1. Been on to break. Beaver, have you ever been to a place where the tortilla chips that they gave you were ridiculously thin? You ever run into that?
I don't think I've run into a situation like this.
I have, and I'm not going to name them because it's a very well-known place a lot of people go. I won't eat them. Not eating those thin chips. Not doing that. It's just, they turn into crumbs immediately. What are we doing? Give me those. I can't dip anything with that. I can't dip air with those. They break. Am I too passionate about this subject? That's all I want to know. This is important. National Tortilla Chip Day. Real C commented on the Country Pleasing text line. We were talking about types of tacos. We went through beef, chicken, steak, shrimp. He said he likes crappie tacos. My man's eating crappie tacos. Hey, but look, I bet it's good if you cook it right. Thibodeau texted me and said, 45 minutes of sports, then finally tacos. Now the show is about to get really good. He said that we used to be a Santitas family until recently the last few bags have been stale. Uh-oh. There's one thing I can't stand. It's a stale Santita. Hour 2. Stick around.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down, hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and 𝐷murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, 𝐷murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. 𝐷murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
Acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and 𝐷murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats.
It's Jackson.
We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
Here we go, back with you. Hour number 2 on this Reaction Monday. Off and running with you. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. I'm Matt. Beaver is here. Most importantly, you are here. I got comments to get to on the live stream from YouTube and Facebook. Coming to those. Just hold your horses. Hang on. I'm coming to in just a minute. Texts to get to. If you were tuning in at the end of hour 1, you will know that today, February 24th, is National Tortilla Chip Day. What shape do you think of when you think of a tortilla chip? Okay, now that you've answered that, because we all answered it the same. Why? Huh? Why the triangle? Hang on a minute. Let me hold on. Look, okay, listen. Went, if you're listening, my man Went McGee, mortgage man, ms.com, the mortgage man, Went McGee. If you're listening, Went, I got headlines coming up, I promise, but hang on a minute. Hey, B! Winky says, that's my father-in-law. We need to have a whole segment. We just need to do a regular segment every now and then. It's called Winky Says. Okay, I was talking about excess sprinkle on your tortilla chips of that seasoned salt mixture they have for you on the table there at your favorite Mexican restaurant. He says don't put it on the chips, put it in the dip or whatever it is, the guacamole, put it in there. So that way when you dip, it doesn't go sliding off your chip or it doesn't end up in the bottom of the basket. I would say to you that, yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good idea. I don't know, though. There's something about that. Now it's got me thinking, yeah, but if you put it in your salsa, then your salsa's too salty. But the point is you're still eating it. I'm a little bit confused on what I ought to do now. The other thing is, okay, here's a question for you. You go to a high school sporting event, something like that. It's been this way my whole life. Everyone I ever went to, it seemed like, whether it was high school football, certainly like go to a basketball game in the gym, other events as well, they would sell, quote unquote, nachos. Remember that? They'd sell nachos. Like back there in the concession stand, they got that thing with that hot yellow cheese. And the chips are what shape? Yep. Ball game nachos are round. Then how come when I asked you a minute ago on National Tortilla Chip Day, what shape do you think of? And everybody thought triangle. Like you go to the hump, okay? You get nachos, that chip's round. It's pretty good too. Like, I don't know, like, is that real cheese? Let's be honest. What is that? Has anybody ever questioned it? Movie theater nachos? Where else? Ball games. You go to the arena, like for monster trucks. Yeah, those. The round chips. And that orange stuff they pour all over. Is that really cheese? What is that? It's not Velveeta. It's something else. What is that? Never thought to ask because it was good enough. You want jalapenos? Yeah. Put them on there. Stop asking me questions. If it can go on there, then just yes, put it on it. I'm missing Bigfoot at the monster truck. All right. It's funny the things we get into, isn't it? Let me get caught up, and then we'll go headlines. I got a text here on the Country Pleasing text line, but I don't know what this is about. Good afternoon, Matt. Beef, it's a sad day in Cougar Nation. He called you Beef. Beef, it's a sad day in Cougar Nation. Lady Cougars lost in semifinals this morning by 1 point. My baby girl missed a free throw that could have sent it to overtime. But who is that, though? Like what school? When I see Cougars, but I don't know what school we're talking about. Res Dog texts the show, and he says, so not only do you go to Mexican restaurants and only eat the chips, you also steal seasoned salt from others. Yeah, it's not really stealing. It's just that somebody else stole it off my table, and I consider I'm stealing it back. No, and I really, I didn't say, Res Dog, that I go to the Mexican restaurant and I only eat the chips and leave. That's never happened, nor will it happen. I'm just saying that many times I really don't even care what I order. I'm only wanting to eat those chips. It's the priority. That's all I'm saying. Patrick, he texted, he said, is it tortilla or tortilla? And he says, you got to love the English language. I know some people. Well, let me rephrase that. I know someone who has been known to very seriously, with not even joking, say tortilla. I mean, for Pete's sake, it's got 2 L's. You know, it can fool anybody. Sammy Dale texts the show. He says, the reason the chips are triangles is because you don't like strips. You don't like grounds, so they make square ones, so you're left with triangles. Oh, I see what you mean. They cut them out in 3 different sizes. Okay, and then Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona, is saying that El Sombrazo Salsitas spicy salsa tortilla chips are outstanding. They are spectacular. He even sent us a picture. Yeah, but look, can we even get those here? El Sombroso brand. I don't know if we can get those here. And then he confirms that the cheese sauce is not cheese. What is that, though, Jason? Whatever it is, it's good. Okay, Lady Cougars. He was talking about Northwest Rankin versus Tupelo girls 7A semifinals this morning at the Big House. Okay, got it. Well, heck, though, you were there. A lot of folks quit playing a long time ago. You're still going. Way to go. And then one more on National Tortilla Chip Day. Mailman David says they're triangle because they cut out from the round ones. Making the most of what, though? What are they cutting it out from? I mean, this is a I mean, especially for a Monday. It's a much deeper subject than I realized it was. Happy National Tortilla or Tortilla, whichever you prefer, day. Headlines, here we go.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines brought to you by Went McGee, the Mortgage Man at mortgagemanms.com. The Mortgage Man Group, powered by Luminate Bank. Wait a minute, time out. By the way, the Went and the folks at Luminate Bank are one of several sponsors of the upcoming 3rd annual Railroad District Crawfish Boil. I'm being told it's going to be on Thursday, April the 10th, that afternoon and evening. Put it on the calendar. They'll back it up a week if they have to. That'll be over there West Jackson Street, Ridgeland. 3rd Annual Crawfish Boil, Thursday, April 10th, coming up. Coming up. All right, so headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. First up, let's go baseball first. We'll reverse it from hour one. State with a sweep this weekend over Missouri State. It's a good mid-major there, Missouri State. Good baseball program. They've been a postseason team a bunch, and so that's a good sweep for State. Played really good baseball, pitched it well, hit it around the yard, played good defense, not a lot of errors on the weekend. We can get into the details later. Ole Miss with a weekend sweep of Eastern Kentucky at home there in Oxford. They're playing good baseball. And Southern Miss, a good series win for them this weekend at home over Louisiana Tech, but they didn't get the sweep. Looks like they played a doubleheader on Saturday. So it was a one-game Friday, doubleheader Saturday. Southern Miss wins the series opener on Friday 4-0. That was back-to-back shutouts. They shut out State in the midweek and then shut out La Tech on Friday. That put them at 6-0 in the year. Then they won game one of the doubleheader on Saturday, 8-4. That put them at 7-0 in the year. But then La Tech was able to salvage the second game of that doubleheader, 5-2. That was Southern Miss's first loss of the year. So they're at 7-1 now as they head to Ole Miss for the midweek tomorrow. They've got a 4 p.m. first pitch scheduled for that one. Also in the headlines today, you're looking back at SEC basketball a couple of days ago on Saturday. State ranked team hit the road, play an unranked team in their gym, get upset. Oklahoma beat them by 6, 93-87. Same story, Ole Miss, ranked team, go on the road, unranked team in their gym, get upset. 5-point win for Vandy at home over Ole Miss in Nashville. So Ole Miss loses on the road by 5. State loses on the road by 6. Elsewhere around the SEC on Saturday, had Auburn with a 12-point win at home over Georgia. Florida with a 14-point win on the road at LSU. Alabama at home in Tuscaloosa with a 13-point win at home over 17th-ranked Kentucky. Mark Sears scored 30 points for Alabama in that ball game. Tennessee did go on the road and get an 8-point win at Texas A&M, 77-69. A big win for Arkansas Saturday at home in Fayetteville, 92-85 over 15th-ranked Missouri. That was Arkansas's 5th SEC win of the year. And South Carolina at home hosting Texas, picking up their first SEC win of the year. They were 0-13 in the league going into Saturday. They beat Texas 84-69. So a nice, healthy 15-point win at home for South Carolina to get their first SEC win of the year. They're now 11-16 overall, 1-13 in the SEC. So there's some of your headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank, right here in the Metro. And beyond, too. They're in Tupelo and in Oxford and in Memphis and can help you pretty much anywhere. All right, over to the live stream. What did Sven say? Sven said chips are bad food. He says they are only edible if they're self-made. Chip. Sven, are you a health nut? That's totally fine if you are. But that comment, that's kind of a health nut comment. Don't be eating them chips. They're bad for you. All of them. Unless you make them at home. Who's making homemade chips? I'll tell you who is. Somebody with very little to do. That's who's doing it. Okay, Sven, he's not a health nut. He says he's just a concerned citizen. No, but I think you're telling the truth, though. I mean, I do. That's why I say like a tortilla chip. What is it? What? Let me see them tortillas where we're cutting these from.
Wait,
what?
Wait now, Sven.
Wait.
If you're going to get concerned, if you're going to be a concerned citizen, when Matt Wyatt starts talking about chips, have you heard how much this man talks about Little Debbie's?
That's a good point.
There's the time to get concerned when we get into these deep LD talks.
Hey, but Beaver, the guy who used to always get on our case with all these little details in the text messages about amino this and, gluco that. Where'd he go? I never hear from him anymore.
Yeah, I know exactly who you speak of.
I think we ran him off.
Like he was dropping bombshells on us that sugar could possibly be bad for you. Oh, never knew that.
You have no idea how bad sugar is for you. Every time we talk, Little Debbie.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? It's delicious. We all know how bad it is.
Yeah, right.
It's whether or not we choose to concern ourselves with it.
Right, Beaver. He's like, you're shaving years off the end of your life. I'm like, how many? How many? Let me decide. Because it's inevitable anyway, Beaver.
What's inevitable?
Death.
Well, I thought that's where we were going. It took a dark turn.
I know it sounds like I did, but I didn't. Why is it dark? It's gonna happen.
It is gonna happen. It's like,
I don't see why it's dark.
Yeah, there's a wrestler current in AEW. His catchphrase is "Everybody dies."
Well, no, it's terrible. It's tough. We're all scared of it, but it's inevitable. And I'm like, okay, well, sugar, I've also got this life to live, right, Beeb? And I want to eat some sugar every now and then. Here's the question, Beaver. What is the appropriate way to warn strangers of the dangers of the food they're consuming?
Oh, it's certainly not to lecture them.
Okay, because the word stranger being the key word there. Now, I know that on this show, we're not strangers. And I'm not someone who's holding a grudge against anybody who warns me about, well, Matt, you shouldn't do this. It's bad for you. You shouldn't eat that. It's bad. I don't hold a grudge. It's because then I think, okay, well, you've given me some information according to your opinion. And then it's up to me to give a flip or not. Right? That's this whole freedom thing we're talking about here. Thank goodness, Beaver, I live in a country where if I want to eat a sugar-filled, nondescript, don't know where it came from, not sure exactly what it is, but delicious Little Debbie snack cake, I can just do it. Nobody's has the right legally to snatch it out of my hand. Not that that's happening on a regular basis. Now, let me see what here. Donnie sent me some scripture. Hebrews 9:27. And it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment. Right. Right. Appointed, meaning like it's going to happen. We know that. And I guess too, maybe that's the point, Donnie, or maybe that's the greater point if we really wanted to get into it, right? Is that I believe with Jesus, that whole appointed to die thing is not as dark. In fact, it may not be dark, right? In fact, I believe it isn't. So I guess maybe that's the greater point. The question we were having is much lighter and less important. Like it's not even really that important, the debate we were having, and that is, should I eat sugar or not? I want some. All right, let's see here. Wait a minute, was it on this day? No, it wasn't on this day, Real C. Real C, though, sent me this. Let's see, in 1987, Robin Ventura set an NCAA record by hitting in 58 consecutive games. 6 years later, he received 58 consecutive punches in the head by Nolan Ryan. Anybody remembers that fight, knows what we're talking about. Several years ago, Real C, I got to be in on an interview with Nolan Ryan on the radio. And the Nolan Ryan said I get asked more about that fight with Robin Ventura than anything else in my career. The no-hitters. No. Everybody asked me about that, giving Robin Ventura a knuckle sandwich on national television. Jason in Flagstaff says, I get so sick of people like that, health nuts and whatsoever. He says, the dose makes the poison is all I'm going to say. Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, okay. Sven says in U.S. foods are so much, what did he say? Regulators? Emolga? I don't know what am I reading. In Germany, the U.S. Skittles are forbidden because of the stuff that's in it. He says, no joke. Really? Oh, yeah, that's right. Sven, speaking of no-hitters, State had one going yesterday into the 9th inning. Did y'all see that? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull that box score up because I didn't get to finish it. And we'll take a look. I know like they were going to work on a combined no-hitter. Didn't get it done. And the stats were really weird at the end of that Sunday game for State baseball. Meaning, it was a win, and you almost had a no-hitter, but like you wouldn't be able to just glance at the final box and guess that. And the score was 6-4. So anyway, I'm going to check that out when we come back. I need to know what that is. You probably do too. All right, so rolling along with you here, hour 2 in the Bureau. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill. See that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, country pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. When you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here in the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about
Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. Back with you. Yeah, good weekend sweep for State. Missouri State was in there. They've been a good team for good many years. They played some postseason baseball, good, strong mid-major. So it's a good weekend for State. Get 3 wins over a team like that, coming off the midweek loss. So mission accomplished, move on. Got Troy, a ranked team. He's really good. Coming in for midweek baseball tomorrow night. And they'll play Rice on the weekend. But you had a, combined no-no going into the 9th inning. And Missouri State ended up with 2 hits. But you look at Stone Simmons, that's a really good start for him. It's weird, right, to give up an earned run on no hits. But he 4 innings in that start. Stone's now 2-0 in the young season, so 4 innings in his start. Faces 17 batters and strikes out 5. No hits in the 4 innings, but he walked 4. Through 74 total pitches, 42 of those were strikes. And I heard a little bit of the chirping about the strike zone, but, early season, cold, non-conference baseball on a Sunday, sometimes you get some strike zones all over the place. Foster comes in there and was just mowing everybody down. Had 2 walks, but he faced 10 batters, 2 strikeouts. Got a bunch of ground ball outs and weak contact, and gave up no runs on no hits. Fortenberry comes in, and again, an inning and a third, faced 6 batters, throws 20 pitches, 9 of them strikes, gives up no hits, just 1 walk. Figure that out. Just 1 walk, no hits, but somehow gives up 2 earned runs. So there's 3 of the 4 runs. And then Dotson, he's out there for a third of an inning. He allowed a couple of hits in the 9th, and they put a run on the board, made it a 6-4 ball game, and then Hungate comes in and closes it. Throws the last 2/3 of the inning. He faced 2 batters, got a fly ball, ground ball, and gets out of it. So combined as a staff on what was, it's weird to have 3 runs on the board, but you hadn't given up a hit yet in the 9th inning. But that's where State was yesterday combined. But they get the win, and as a staff, 8 strikeouts, but on Sunday, the 8 walks being the real, key there, the blemish. At the plate, Fry, who played second base for him, got the start. He goes 2 for 4, drove 1 in, hit a home run. A good day for him. Highfield, he got hit by a pitch one time. He's fine. He even had, Ross had a stolen base in there. He went 1 for 4, scored a run. Reese, Sullivan, Hines, they all had a hit. Reese drove in 2. Hines drove in 1. Downs had the home run. Let's see. He homered. Hines, Reese, Fry. So 4 home runs on the day for state hitters. And then so they'll tee it up and play tomorrow night. All right. Basketball. CB95 texts the show. He said, based on the stat of 3-point defense, it sounds like something Mississippi State basketball needs to consider working on in order to go deep in the tournament. A lot of teams can shoot the 3 really good. Yeah, that's true. And I know what you're saying. You know, the reality is they do work on it a lot. You know what? I saw this during the break. I was kind of flipping through some of the scores, matchups. You've got state championship basketball going on right now. MHSA state championship basketball at the Big House at the Coliseum. Different classifications on the schedule. Presented by C-Spire. The championships there, high school basketball championships presented by C-Spire. And you just had the 7A girls game in the playoffs between Starkville and Biloxi. Now, listen to this final score. Final score, Starkville versus Biloxi, 7A state championships. Now, these I don't think it's a state championship game. It was the semifinals, so Starkville has advanced by a score of 23-16. And apparently Biloxi's team was doing the whole hold the ball deal. I saw, again, when you look it up, if you just search it on X, you'll see some people talking about they're holding the ball. Nobody wants to watch this. And they just held the ball for 2 minutes. And so you get a final score of 23-16. Years and years ago, I mean, this has been 20 years ago. I was at a high school game in the state championships in Coliseum in Jackson. And it was a single digits ball game. It was a game that ended like 10-8 or something. And it might have been against, it might have been a team playing one of those Monte Ellis Lanier teams, or it might have been another one. But, it might be a Holly Springs game or something back then. But, yeah, you had a team that held the ball the whole game. And then, no joke, the final score of the ball game was like 10-7 maybe. Okay, so now today after this one where you had a Biloxi team holding the ball for a good portion of the game and a final score of 23-16, and a lot of people who were there were like, oh, man. More cries for, hey, we need a shot clock in high school basketball. So here's the question I would pose to you. And I probably have an opinion on it. Yeah, my buddy just texted me that Biloxi scored a grand total of 2 points the entire second half of the game. They were the one holding the ball. Okay, should high school basketball institute a shot clock? That's the question. Why or why not? Should they? What's the argument for it? Like I saw one person that said, they got to put in a shot clock because no one wants to watch this. One team holding the ball. Honestly, I just kind of agree with that. I think my opinion is I would absolutely vote for adding a shot clock for high school basketball. Okay. And then you go, all right, so then what are you going to do? Every school is going to spend the money to put the clock up on each end of the floor or put it somewhere, right? And have pay a clock operator, hit that reset button constantly throughout the game and all the issues that come with that. Well, maybe. Have an official keep it. I mean, there is a way to implement it without it being some major, major cost for everybody out there. No joke. I mean, there's a way to do it. I don't think that infrastructurally it's an issue, that some might make it out to be. Can it be done? Sure, it can be done. And I think it would be fair. You know, you go, well, yeah, okay, you're going to have some matchups where some teams are at such a disadvantage. You're going to have maybe more blowouts. You'd have more blowouts. I don't know about that. I think it's from just strictly from a play the game and a participation standpoint. I mean, think about it, right? You got schools traveling, girls and boys basketball. You got schools traveling distances of, you know, let's just say it's even a regular season game and you're on the bus for an hour, you know, or more. And parents drive in and people go in, all to go with the possibility that the team may hold the ball, and you get and you get literally somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 8 chances as a team to take a shot. That's just like, oh, you can't have that. You just can't have it. It's not fair to the participants. It's not really the game. It's not fair to anybody. It's not good for anybody. It's actually having a contest where you're, for the majority of it, you're just taking the competition out of it. That's not in the spirit of the game. So you got to have a shot clock. I'd be all for it. I'd argue for it in any case. Okay, and then some go, well, it's not the cost to install equipment or clocks or whatever. It's about having a clock operator to run it for every game. Most clock operators are provided by the school for basketball. In football season, they are officials, but the school provides it. Well, my thing is, you know, okay, again, not the equipment. If the major sticking point is a person to run it, who cares if it's off a few seconds? Who cares if in a handful of games across the state we get somebody that's having trouble and they miss a few seconds here and they miss? So what? Just hit the button one way, hit it the other way, hit it. It's really that simple. Oh, well, they messed it up. Okay, well, we'll all live. At least we're trying to have it. So can it be done? Sure. Should it be done? Absolutely. Get rid of this archaic stuff where teams are just sitting on the basketball and using up the whole half and not even taking shots. That's not even competition. Stick around.
Oh, you like this? It's the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of you know, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. You know, I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. You know, when you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, you know, get pulled over, you know, need an insurance card, wind blows, you know, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
Mississippi Way with you. So get in on the conversation and tell him what you think right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. Yeah, it seems sort of elementary to me that it's time to have a shot clock. And then it's actually, you know, I'm not a basketball coach and don't have, you know, the history with it or officiating that others do, game management, all that kind of stuff. But it just seems like a really simple decision to go, yeah, okay, for lots of reasons and some obvious reasons. You got to have a shot clock. Like, you got the ball, you got a certain amount of time, you don't get a shot off, we change in the ends and the other team gets it. It's just a fair thing from a competition standpoint. You go, well, somebody might argue that, well, the game didn't start that way. Okay, you can call it competition, but those who designed basketball initially, they didn't have a certain amount of time you had to shoot it in. Okay, but we have one for a reason. in other levels of the sport. Sven says high school should have a shot clock. It's part of the game. If it does create some blowouts, it's so few and far between in terms of it actually not being able to do it, having a real effect on the outcome. But Rick says, what's wrong with a blowout? You have them in other sports. Just also have a 30-point rule or whatever, you know, whatever, 40 or 50, or just whatever you want to put on it. Sven says, ask a student if he wants to run the clock, and if he does, he has free access to every game. He said, trust me, you find one everywhere. And then the clock's like $300. That's what I'm saying. You know, it's absolutely can be done everywhere. So then you go, well, it's an issue with staffing it. So we're staffing things like that for football. Fewer games, I get it. Danny says, I've advocated for years that officiating crews should add another member to do the very thing that you're talking about. And I guess he's talking about high school basketball. But you could provide it with the school and just have it. And you go, well, you know, at such and such a place, they got a guy who runs their clock and he starts it early on the opponents and starts it late on his team. Yeah, well, so what? the point is, you still have an allotted amount of time to, run your offense and try to score. And if you don't, buzzer goes off and we give it to the other team. It's just, to me, it's a fairness thing. Really. Okay, a team makes it to the postseason all the way to Jackson. Everybody goes to support. Students get out of school, right? Parents go down, staff, everything. And we take buses. We're getting hotel rooms and everything. And we go to watch, quote unquote, the game. And a majority of the game, we're not even doing anything? Really? Like, we've got a setup that allows that to happen? What's fun about that? What's healthy about that? And from a player standpoint, the fun part is playing. Even on the team who supposedly they're doing this stalling to give themselves an advantage and maybe win the game in advance. What's fun about that? Who wants to do that? I'm just saying, I don't get it. Like, why haven't you put in a shot clock? State grad 98 texted the show, said Forest boys did the four-corner stall offense all during the 90s against teams that like to run. And he says, I hated it. Real unnamed texter says, just do it for the playoffs. That'd be one sort of middle ground, right? Is we're going to have a shot clock for playoff games. Yeah. That might even be the best way to do it, to start it off unnamed. That might be the best way to do it, but not having a shot clock, leaving it open. Like I say, I saw it 20 years ago, and apparently we just had another one of those today where you had long periods of time where Biloxi was holding the ball. Again, according to social media, I didn't see it. Long periods of time with Biloxi just holding the basketball because you don't have a shot clock. Like, what is even competitive about that? It's really not even a strategy. It's not a competitive strategy. It's kind of a give-up strategy that you're allowed to do. I don't get it. Put a shot clock in, especially either just for the playoffs or especially in the playoffs, one way or the other. Okay, you're going to have midweek baseball that is going to be really meaningful around here. Tomorrow, do we have a start time yet for State and Troy? Have they announced a start time yet? Hang on. I probably should call Bill. And hold on. Do we have it yet? No, I have not seen the start time yet for State and Troy. I don't know if there's weather that they're looking at or travel or what. But regardless, State, 18th ranked State, is going to host 21st ranked Troy at Duty Noble tomorrow. Is it 4 p.m.? They're saying 4? Okay. My buddy texted me it's going to be 4 p.m. Okay. State and Troy, 4. 18th ranked State, 21st ranked Troy, Duty Noble, Tuesday. Give me that. Ready for it. Also, then at 5, now that might be, let's see, is that Central? 4 Central, 5 Eastern. I don't know. What does D1 do? Doesn't D1 baseball normally list the Eastern time? Regardless, either 4 or 5. 24th ranked Ole Miss going to host 22nd ranked Southern Miss at Swayze. So Southern Miss picked up a win over State last week in Hattiesburg. They're going to try to pick one up over Ole Miss at Ole Miss. We'll see what happens. Elsewhere around the SEC tomorrow, Tuesday, midweek baseball. 15th ranked Texas hosting Incarnate Word. Kentucky is hosting Evansville. Arkansas hosting Grambling. They got Arkansas in the top 5. 3rd ranked Tennessee hosting UNA. 16th ranked Oklahoma hosting Texas Southern. Alabama's hosting Jacksonville State. Missouri is going to host Lindenwood. 14th ranked Vandy's hosting Tennessee Tech. South Carolina's hosting Gardner-Webb. 8th ranked Florida will go to Stetson. This is tomorrow. Auburn's going to host Samford, and top-ranked Texas A&M is hosting Texas State. Midweek baseball tomorrow. We should have some Wednesday games, and we do. Georgia on Wednesday afternoon is going to go to Georgia State, and so I guess they're playing that at Well, no, I'm wrong. They turned the old Turner Field into a football stadium, not a baseball stadium, downtown Atlanta. So anyway, that's where they'll play. They'll play somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia, at Georgia State. Kentucky will play again on Wednesday, hosting Morehead State. Oklahoma will host Texas Southern Wednesday night. I mentioned Florida goes to Stetson tomorrow night. Wednesday night, they're going to host North Florida. And LSU will play on Wednesday. You know, they're playing today, aren't they? Had a weird Monday thing. Again, I don't know if weather pushed them back or what. They're playing Nichols today, at least on the schedule they are. But LSU Wednesday night, second-ranked LSU, will host 19th-ranked Dallas Baptist. So we got a full week of some really interesting games. Yeah, they're saying LSU is hosting Nichols tonight at 6 in Baton Rouge. And let's see. No, it's just a Monday midweek. They're playing a Monday midweek and a Wednesday midweek. Before this coming weekend, LSU will go to Frisco, Texas, and do the round robin thing out there Friday, Saturday, Sunday with Kansas State, Nebraska, and Sam Houston. So how about that? So LSU took 2 out of 3 from Omaha this weekend. Their one loss was 5-4. Played one game Friday, played a doubleheader Saturday, no game yesterday. Playing tonight against Nichols. Off tomorrow, played Dallas Baptist, the top 25 team, Wednesday. Then on the weekend, go to Frisco, Texas, and play a round robin with Kansas State, Nebraska, and Sam Houston. Interesting schedule makeup for Coach Johnson and LSU. So it's a fun time of year because it starts everything's really overlapping. That is midweek baseball. If we look at men's basketball, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, late on ESPN2 at 8 p.m., we get State on the road at Alabama. You know, those two played each other in Starkville earlier this year, had a good game, and Alabama won. And Alabama's been really good at home, coming off a win over Kentucky in Tuscaloosa this past weekend. State on the road went to Oklahoma and lost. Back it up by going to Tuscaloosa and play tomorrow night. Quick turnaround, so it's going to be tough. That Saturday to a Tuesday road is tough, and State's had several of those this year. I think that was the case when they went to Auburn. I think it was the case when they went to Tennessee. Top 10 team at their place, late Tuesday night, quick turnaround after a Saturday deal. So that's going to be a tough one for State. Tennessee will go to LSU tomorrow night. South Carolina goes to Missouri. Florida is at Georgia tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Ole Miss goes to Auburn. That'll be a toughie right there. Ole Miss right now 8-6 in the SEC after the loss to Vandy. Also Wednesday night, Vandy at A&M. Kentucky will go to Oklahoma, and Texas will go to Arkansas. So we're here at the beginning of the week, but we're staring a whole week of sports just about every night. It should be fun. All right, that's it for today on this Monday. Appreciate y'all being a part of it. Thanks to Beaver and all of us here. All of us here, thanks for tuning in to the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then. See ya.